When is the last time you are punished? If I tell you that the tax commissioner can punish you, what do you think about it? It is true that the tax commissioner occasionally punishes taxpayers who are not tax compliant. Let us discuss the punishment that is meted on taxpayers by the tax commissioner. And this is in cases where the taxpayer is not tax compliant. As a taxpayer, are you aware that there are punishments that are meted out by the tax commissioner? Many taxpayers are not aware, but some taxpayers are aware. However, not all taxpayers are aware about the specific details of the punishments. In this session, we are going to discuss 7 punishments that you are likely to face in case you are not tax compliant. This does not mean that these are the only punishments. There are very many other punishments out there. However, many people do not refer to the actions as punishments. We prefer to use the term consequences. But remember, when it comes to tax, there is no difference between a consequence and a punishment. A punishment is a punishment no matter what name you refer to the punishment. When we talk about consequences, it does not sound as harsh as when we talk about punishments. I think many taxpayers do not want to use the term punishment. This is because probably it reminds them of the punishments they went through in primary school, secondary school, or elsewhere. And every time when they hear that word being mentioned, what it reminds them is the pain. For purposes of this session, we are going to call a spade a spade. We are not going to call a spade a big spoon. No. We are going to refer to tax punishments as tax punishments because that is what they are. Every time when the commissioner takes action, because you are not tax compliant, you are going to be punished and you are going to feel pain. It is very painful to pay extra tax. And that is why we prefer to call these punishments, because you are going to suffer. You are going to suffer mentally, you are going to suffer financially, and also in other areas of your life. In actual fact, your whole life may be affected by the punishment that you may never recover. For example, if your business is closed as a punishment because you did not comply with tax laws, is the business likely to survive even if it is opened by the commissioner? The answer is no. There are very many examples of businesses that were closed by the commissioner because of tax non-compliance, and even after they were opened, the owners had no option than to close the businesses. Because by the time they opened the businesses, they had gone through immense losses. And it became very difficult for them to survive. So the only option that they had was to close the business. We have always been told that when you are told to do something, it is important for you to do it. There is no need of being disobedient. The best thing for you to do is to obey the tax law. Because if you do not obey the tax laws, the tax commissioner is going to punish you. The tax commissioner does not come up with his own punishment. No. The punishments are already written in the tax acts. This means that the tax commissioner simply implements what is already in the tax laws. The tax commissioner is going to fine you, and especially when we are talking about making tax returns or filing tax returns. Fines are constant. It's one figure. And that amount does not increase depending on the time. It does not increase depending on the size of your business. It is a one size fits all. For example, if you don't file tax returns. For value-added tax, the fine is 10,000. This is irrespective of whether the net amount is zero, you have a credit, or there is tax to pay. If you don't take that tax return, you are going to be fined 10,000. When it comes to income tax, if you don't file the income tax return, the fine is 20,000. And this is irrespective of the size of your business or how long you are going to take before you file the tax return. A note, that is the tax return for business entities. For individuals, the fine is 2,000. Those are the current fines. The second type of punishment from the commissioner is penalties. If you do not limit or pay the tax when it is due, you're going to be penalized. And you're going to be penalized a certain percentage. Currently, the penalty is 5% of the amount of principal tax that is due. Alternatively, you are going to be penalized a flat figure, and that figure is shillings 20,000. The minimum amount that you're going to pay is 20,000. For example, if you delay limiting to the commissioner 500,000, the penalty, 5% of 500,000 is going to be 25,000. So you're going to either pay 25,000 or 20,000, whichever is higher. In this particular case, you are going to pay 25,000. In case you are late in limiting the money, that is the tax money, you are going to pay a penalty. And this is irrespective of the time that you're going to take to limit the money. For example, if you delay the money by 1 day, the penalty is 5% or 20,000, whichever is higher. If you delay the money by 5 years, the penalty is 5% or 20,000, whichever is higher. Punishment number 3, tax interest. The current rate of tax interest is 1% per month or part of the month. And you're going to pay this for as many months as you're going to delay limiting or paying the tax. For example, if you're late by 1 day, the interest is 1%. If you're late by 30 days, the interest is 1%, assuming that the month is 30 days. So it is 1% per month or part of the month. And remember, the interest is a percentage, and that is 1%, and it is 1% of the principal amount of tax that you're supposed to pay plus the penalty. For example, if the principal amount of tax that you have not paid is 100,000, the penalty is 5% or 20,000, whichever is higher. 5% of 100,000 is 5,000. So in this particular case, the penalty is going to be 20,000. This is because 20,000 is more than 5,000. And we have said that the penalty is the higher amount. What about the interest? How much is it going to be? The interest, that is 1%, is going to be on 100,000 plus 20,000, which is 120,000. In case you are late by 1 month, you are going to pay the principal amount 100,000 plus the penalty amount, which is 20,000, plus the interest, which is going to be 1% of 120,000, which is 1,200. That means you're going to pay 100,000 plus 20,000 plus 1,200. Punishment number 4 is being prosecuted. You are going to be taken to court. You're going to be taken in front of a magistrate or a judge, and you are going to answer charges of not being tax compliant. There are very many things that you will have done, or there are very many things that you will not have done. And all that is going to result in your tax non-compliance. This is going to land you in front of a magistrate or a judge. Many people have been taken to court because of not being tax compliant. Are you going to be one of them? And remember, when you are taken to court, anything can happen. You can be jailed, or you can be fined, or you can be fined and jailed at the same time. You are going to pay a fine, and at the same time, you are going to be jailed. And this brings us to punishment number 5, and that is jail time. You can be jailed, and some people have been jailed because of not complying with taxes. But remember, for you to be jailed, you must be prosecuted first. The judge or the magistrate will decide how much time you should spend in jail because of not being tax compliant. And the worst thing about being jailed is that you can be jailed and you are fined at the same time. So you're going to pay a fine and you're going to be jailed. Do you want to go to jail? Punishment number 6, closure of your business. Several taxpayers have had their businesses closed. The tax commissioner closed their business. The tax commissioner appeared in the business premises with padlocks, and their businesses were closed. And when your business is closed, it is going to be next to impossible to ever open that business again. It is the worst thing that can happen to a taxpayer, because the tax commissioner is determined to make sure that you'll never operate again. And it does not matter what you'll do, you may never recover. Because when your business is closed, first of all, you get a very bad name. There is reputational damage. You are going to lose clients, and you're also going to lose business partners plus also suppliers. When the commissioner closes your business, it's more or less over. And it does not matter what other name you try to use. The commissioner can ensure that you'll never be able to operate any business in this country. Why? Because you're not tax compliant. I actually witnessed a case where somebody's business was closed and they tried to start another business and they were not able to start any business in this country. Up to date, they have never been able to set up any business using their names. So such a thing can happen to you. Number 7 is sale of business properties. Your properties can be auctioned because you are not tax compliant. Your business is not going to be closed, but your properties are going to be sold because you are not tax compliant. Are you going to wait for the commissioner to sell your properties because you are not tax compliant? I don't think that is the best thing that you can do. It is important to always remember this fact, that the responsibility for any tax liabilities is on the top management and the directors of the company. And this is personal responsibility. What this means is that apart from the commissioner selling the properties of the business, the commissioner may come after your properties And this is especially in cases where you are a member of the top management in the company or you are a director of the company. When it comes to tax liabilities, the commissioner will always ensure that those are paid. So please ensure that you are tax compliant so that you do not suffer other punishments, for example, being prohibited from leaving this country. Sometimes you get to know about it when you are at the airport, and you can't imagine how embarrassing it is. You have said goodbye to everyone, you get to the airport, and you are told you cannot leave. Why? Because there is a departure prohibition order, and that means you cannot leave the country. Let me tell you, there is nothing you can do about it. In actual fact, you are going to be arrested at the airport, and it is going to be another huge case because in the eyes of the tax commissioner, you are running away from your tax liabilities. There are very many other punishments you can suffer as a taxpayer because you are not tax compliant. Remember that laws are to be obeyed, and even tax laws must be obeyed. In case you do not obey the tax laws, you only have yourself to blame, and you may live to regret it. In cases where you find it extremely difficult to comply with tax laws, get the services of a tax professional. They will help you. There are very many tax professionals in the market. In case you want to consult a tax consultant, we have put a link in the description of this video. And in case you do not have the money to pay for tax consultancy, you can always walk to the tax commissioner's office. It is a public office. Explain what your problem is. The commissioner will listen to you, and you are going to be helped. Many people are not aware that the commissioner, that is the tax commissioner, is always willing to help taxpayers. Remember, it is not the business of the tax commissioner to close businesses. No, the business of the tax commissioner is to collect tax. And anybody who has ever approached the tax commissioner for help, because they are going through difficulties, they have been helped. The tax commissioner understands, and even the government understands, that you may be willing to pay taxes, but you are finding it difficult. And in such a case, you will be able to get into an agreement, that is a payment agreement, with the tax commissioner. And as long as you keep to the conditions of the agreement, you are not going to be in any trouble. As a taxpayer, your duty is to pay taxes, and the duty of the tax commissioner is to collect taxes. So the two of you can work together as partners so that you can get help, and also the tax commissioner can collect tax. In the last couple of minutes, we have been discussing about the actions that the tax commissioner is going to take against you in case you are not tax compliant. Those actions, we have referred to them as punishments. The actions have been baptized many names, but the fact of the matter is, those are punishments. Specifically, we have discussed 7 punishments. What are those 7 punishments? Number 1 is fines. Number 2 is penalties. Number 3 is tax interest. Number 4 is prosecution in a court of law. Number 5 is jail time. Number 6 is closure of business. Number 7 is sale of business properties. It is important to remember that these are not the only punishments. There are very many punishments in the tax acts. However, for purposes of this session, we have looked at only 7 punishments. During your free time, read the tax acts and on a piece of paper, write down all the tax punishments that the tax commissioner may impose on you. These 7 punishments are the most common punishments that any taxpayer is going to suffer. The question is, what can you do so that you avoid these 7 punishments plus any other tax punishment? It is simple. Comply with tax laws. And in case you're not sure, seek help. You can seek out tax experts, for example, tax auditors, tax consultants, tax advisors, tax lawyers, and many others. And in case you don't have the money to pay, you can always get help from the tax commissioner. Remember, the duty of the tax commissioner is not to close your business, but to collect tax. And when the tax commissioner is collecting tax, they will come across cases where the taxpayers do not know what to do, and they are duty bound to help the taxpayers. We have come to the end of this session, and we have been discussing about the punishments that the tax commissioner is going to impose on you as a taxpayer in case you are not tax compliant. Now that you know about the punishments, it is our hope that you are going to continue improving your tax compliance so that you do not suffer those kind of punishments. Before you leave, in case there is any topic, and that is a tax topic or a finance topic, that you'd want us to discuss, please go to the comment section and write to us. Also, before you leave, do not forget to subscribe so that in case we upload, you are going to get notified. Remember, we share this content for free. We want people to start businesses, to grow businesses, and also to exit from profitable businesses. We also have a lot of resources in our website. The link is in the description. Until next time, this is, as always, Dr. Wakaguyu WK. Stay blessed.